Hello everyone, here is another live speaking lesson all around some really useful extra expressions on daily routines. So these are going to be 5 more expressions that I think will be super useful for you in discussing and conversing about your daily routines. And here is our list. So first up we have Groundhog Day, early bird and night owl, fixed schedule, get into the habit, and of course the get can be changed for tense. And the last one is proactive. So a range of expressions here, from idioms to collocations, phrasal verbs as well, adjectives. So yeah, some really useful extra language for you. So let's jump into the video and take a look at some examples. Okay, our first expression is Groundhog Day. And a groundhog is a type of animal. And a Groundhog Day is a common idiom used to describe times or time periods. Groundhog Day. It basically is that feeling of doing the same thing again and again and again. So your schedule is exactly the same. Now, we can probably all relate to Groundhog Day, remembering lockdowns during the coronavirus, which for some of us definitely meant having the exact same routine day after day after day. It felt very much like Groundhog Day. So, for example, you could say lockdown was just like Groundhog Day. The same routine day after day after day after day. And it's definitely that feeling of morbidness and boring and just repetition. A really useful idiom to use, Groundhog Day. These two expressions are used to describe people in relation to daily routines, and that is early bird and night owl. And I'm not really sure why these similar but completely opposite idioms both include birds, but that's how it is. That's how these idioms are. So we have an early bird. So if you say someone is or you are, I describe myself as I'm a real early bird. That just means that I always wake up early. I'm a real early bird. I always get up at 6 a.m. no matter what day it is. At the complete opposite end of the spectrum, you can either describe yourself or someone else as a night owl. Generally, you can't be a night owl and an early bird unless you don't really sleep much. A night owl is a person that generally will stay up much later than most people, possibly past midnight. They tend to sleep maybe 2, 3 o'clock every day. And it's often by choice. So we've got these two phrases, expressions to describe people waking up early as early birds, or just people who generally tend to sleep late, night owls. Here we have a common collocation, a commonly paired group of words, and that is fixed schedule. So a fixed schedule generally means a schedule that is quite busy and that you cannot alter very much. So for example, if somebody said, David, could we meet next week? Say, I've got quite a fixed schedule. I can't change much round. Or if it's somebody asking you to change a schedule or change something you have planned, is there any chance we could meet 3 p.m. tomorrow? So, I can't really change that. I've got quite a fixed schedule at the moment and I can't move things around. So just a common collocation to be aware of, a fixed schedule. Next up, we have a phrasal verb, a longer phrasal verb. And it's also something of an idiom too, get into that preposition, get into the habit, getting into the habit. And it really does sound like we're moving ourselves into a habit, something that we do often without thinking. Get into the habit. It basically means to do something quite a few times, and it's becoming, but not quite yet. I'm really getting into the habit. It's becoming something that you're doing a lot more often with less effort, and you're not having to plan to do it. I'm reading so much more. I'm really getting into the habit of reading before bed. So it's not the complete end where it's a habit now. It is a habit that you are learning, obviously at times in a positive way. You're learning this habit, usually for positive reasons. I'm getting into the habit of exercising more. I'm getting into the habit of eating healthier foods. 2 examples of positive habits you can have. And the final piece of vocabulary is proactive. And proactive is something that most people try to strive to be. Proactive means that you are enthusiastic to complete tasks, to find useful activities to do. For example, I've been really proactive recently in contacting friends and messaging family, really proactive in developing communications with close relatives. So it's generally used in a positive way. I really want to be more proactive about exercise. I really want to be more proactive about learning this language. I want to do it more, and I want to find more reasons to do useful activities. Proactive. Okay, so that is our 5 expressions with these examples. Some really useful idioms, phrasal verbs, collocations within those 5 expressions. And I think it's super important that you also own that language too, and you are able to use it both within your speaking and other parts of language too. So it's time for our practice activity, and I'll see you in the next lesson.